Have you ever tried to overcome the paradox of choice? You have a strong desire for either outcome, but you can't take them both. You have to choose. And overcoming this catch 22 is making you crazy. In this video, we'll be talking about how to conquer indecision and what to do when you're stuck between two or more options that are making you feel emotionally abused and tormented by these choices. I'll be giving you a perfect formula, so stay tuned. Hi there and welcome. My name is Remy, like Do Re Mi. I'm a best-selling author and creator of the Get Unstuck Revolution. I help extraordinary women just like you dissolve the obstacles in your path so you can bring success to you. Now let's get started with today's video. Okay, let me jump off the screen here and switch to my laptop. Today, we're talking about what to do when we need to overcome indecision and the conflict and emotional torture that it's creating, because we somehow need to break the current cycle so we can move on to success. If you like to see success in full abundance along life's journey, and if you're wanting to tap into a greater knowingness and align with the higher consciousness of your infinite self, instead of the lower ego thinking and negative thoughts that push success away, then this is for you. It's time to be unabashedly, unapologetically, happily untethered to ego thinking. It's time to align with the higher energies of our soul's path instead. This episode is for you if you wonder about the donkey theory and why the donkey dies when he can't make a rational choice between food and water. This episode is for you if you wonder how we unknowingly create opposing objectives that confuse us and how to find the right objective. And this episode is for you if you wonder how to overcome a paradox in 5 simple steps. Yes, these episodes are about how to find your hidden power when you want to transform challenges into successes. I like to call it the audacity of alchemy, because when we're feeling stuck, it's never the situation that has us stuck. It's our energy about it that's become stuck in anxiety, overwhelm, doubts, worries, frustrations, indecision, and even anger. And often, this is because of a spiritual injury that we've experienced, some kind of hidden trauma. So it isn't the pain of our situation, it's the pain of not being connected into the natural energy of who we really are, of being connected to that magical part of us that's a creative vibrational being who can use positive energies to create what we want and bring it into physical manifestation. We can allow our manifestations to materialize and not get stuck in the negative vibrations that block them. These positive energies that we talk about so much are where we find the magic of alchemy, because our choice of frequency, our choice of those positive thoughts and emotions can change the course of our journey. You know, we've talked about this donkey theory before. In fact, I used this metaphor for the first time in my most recent book, which we'll talk about here in a minute. And so some people know this as Buridan's ass, named after Jean Buridan, who was a French philosopher. I'm putting this up on the screen for you so you've got the spelling and all the information here. And I think it was actually Aristotle who actually first was the one to first bring about this concept. And the concept is a concept of free will, which seems like a good thing unless you're caught in duality thinking. Now, duality thinking is where part of me wants this and part of me wants that. We've all been there, right? It might also be where we have strong negative emotions, but also strong positive emotions. It might also be where we're in a conundrum, unable to resolve a situation. Duality thinking. You get the idea. So, Mr. Donkey here, imagine a donkey that is equally hungry and thirsty, and he is placed precisely exactly midway between a stack of hay and a pail of water. We assume he'll always go to whichever is closer, but he actually dies of hunger and thirst because he can't make a rational choice. And that has become known as the donkey theory. Now, one philosopher argued that because as humans we have free will, we'll always be able to make a rational choice. Yet, another philosopher argued that if two options are judged equal, then free will cannot break the deadlock. All we can do is suspend judgment until the circumstances change and the right course of action becomes clear. And can I just say that as I was researching this, I found it so interesting that a paradox exists even between philosophers dating back as far as 350 BC. Well, this idea of indecision has been with us a long time, hasn't it? Now, you know why I created the Get Unstuck revolution. If you've been around for a while, you know I've talked about this before. When you're stuck in a conundrum, stuck in a paradox, stuck in any number of situations, trying to make a decision. So, if you're feeling like you're in a catch 22 right now, if you're feeling like you're in a conundrum, well, you aren't alone. The question is, how do we overcome the paradox? We feel conflicted, we feel tortured, tormented, because often things are true on both sides. And this is duality, the rightness and wrongness of the situation, the positive and the negative. And we can see that what's true and correct on both sides is a viewpoint that we can take on. And so we have trouble reconciling it. Now, you've heard me talk before about how this is an opportunity to look for contrast, to look for the differences. But let's assume we've already done that. We already see these differences. Now, you've also heard me say that what's most important isn't solving a paradox. What's most important is how to grow into who we really are, how to expand our abilities toward more love, more patience, more compassion, more creativity, how to use these positive energies to effect transformation, how to be centered in our true self, and how to hold true to our vision without defaulting into the illusion of the paradox that's designed to pull us away from who we really are. Ah, did you hear that? The illusion or the paradox that we're in is an illusion, and that paradox is designed to pull us away from who we really are. We are on a creator planet, learning how to create and effect transformation. We aren't here to solve the paradox directly. We're changing the energy about it because that's who we really are. We're changing who we are as a vibrational being. We're refusing to be seduced into a conflicted vibration, right? Well, yeah, I hear it already. Wonderful concept in theory, the idea of changing who we are as a vibrational being. But when we're really truly stuck in a conundrum, the theory isn't so easy to put into practice. So, how do we overcome the paradox? Well, I don't know about you, but I've had those moments where I felt like I was stuck inside a pinball machine with all the options whacking me over the head. Or I had a client tell me one time that it was like being stuck inside the Liberty Bell and her head was gonging from one side of the bell to the other. She said it didn't feel much like liberty. She didn't feel much like freedom at all. She said that she felt like a human pendulum. So, what we're actually dealing with most often is a conundrum between two choices. We're swinging, our pendulum is swinging between these two choices. Oftentimes, it's a difference between fight or flee. And this may be the situation you're in. Do I see it through or do I give up? Do I fight or do I flee? If we see it through, we know we'll have resentment. If we give up and walk away, we feel guilty. That sort of thing. There's something on both sides that we're considering. And then our creative brain says, well, wait a minute. If we see it through, maybe we'll feel a sense of achievement. If we give up and walk away, though, maybe we'll feel a sense of relief. And this pendulum, this flipping back and forth, is exactly what keeps us in a paradox. Somehow we have to stop the pendulum from swinging because it can be so tortuous. And the thing is, we can't fix our now reality. We cannot fix our physical world reality that's in the now moment. We've tried and we can't fix it. And that's because it's already manifested into this now moment. So we can't fix it. And that's why we're in this paradox. That's why the pendulum is swinging, sometimes violently back and forth. So we can't fix the now moment, but we can move on and envision a new reality. Let me say that again. We can envision a new reality. I'll put this on the screen for you. What we often need is a vision or a plan, and then we require of ourselves a commitment. This commitment could be a written contract, but I have another idea which I'll share in a minute. The idea, though, is to know our limits of what we can do and to know where it pushes us too far for what we can't do. Think of it like this. we have a bicycle and we can kick up the kickstand and start moving, right? But if we were asked to ride the bicycle backwards and stand on our head, well, we'd know that's too far and that would be something that we can't do. But something has to break loose. And so maybe we just start with the kickstand. And so we need a plan or a goal, or I like to look at it as an objective, something beyond just the kickstand. Where are we going? What's our objective? So that's step number one, to identify our objective. But how do we do this? Well, remember my client who said she felt like a human pendulum? Somehow we have to stop the pendulum from swinging because it can torment us relentlessly. So, what's been happening is our pendulum has been swinging between two options. Most often, it's fight or flight, whether to see it through or whether to give up. All right, let me switch the slide here. So, we'll have emotions on both sides. We look at seeing it through, and our emotions might be that we feel uncomfortable, doubtful, worried, manipulated. We look at our other option, we look at the other side of this thing, and we look at giving up, and we feel emotions like guilt, feeling defeated, hesitation. We feel conflicted. So, as you look at these on the screen, can you see the problem? We have negative emotions on both of our options. And so our brain at some point will flip it around and start finding the positive on both sides because we don't feel good when we feel bad. And our pendulum just keeps swinging and bonging back and forth with no resolution, whether we're looking at the negative side or the positive side. So somehow we have to stop the pendulum from swinging. All right. So the mistake that so many people make is that they look at their goal, their objective, and they find that they have a goal on each side. They have a goal with each option. And so the goal on one side is to see it through and the goal on the other side is to give up. So we end up with a goal on each side. But when you think about it, our true objective isn't on either side. Oftentimes, we have unbearable pain within each choice. Let me say that again. Oftentimes, we have unbearable pain within each choice, and that's why the pendulum keeps swinging. And so we get stuck here at step one, trying to figure out what our true objective is. And we're trying to reconcile all this. Well, the way you're analyzing it, if you're analyzing it like this, it won't reconcile. That's why we can't fix what's in the present time here in this present moment. You can write this down. The way you're analyzing it, it won't reconcile. It can't be fixed. Somehow we have to stop this pendulum from swinging so that we can reconcile into a decision. So I want to give you a formula. Now, just try this out for yourself, and you can always throw it out or at least make some adjustments that will make sense for you. But the idea is to transform our challenge into a positive new success. That's what we're going for. So let's look at a formula because if you get nothing else from today, I want you to get this concept of how to stop the pendulum from making you crazy so that you can reconcile this decision. All right. Consider this possibility that your objective, your goal in all this, your plan, isn't about the paradox at all. Consider that your objective is to tap into your hidden power, to connect to that magical part of you that's a creative vibrational being, that inner resilient self, that part of you who can use positive energies to create what you want and bring it to fruition, to become that creative being who doesn't get stuck in the negative vibrations that block your desires. If we're on the right track here for you, if this sounds like a match, then here's your step one. Step one is to knock down the walls of frustration, the anger, the conflict, the confusion, the indecision, and so on. We want to sweep all those negative energies away, all of them. I like to envision them as walls that we have to knock down. And once we knock them down, we sweep it all away. So maybe you'd like to use that vision as well, knocking down the walls of a house and then sweeping away the debris. Maybe you'll envision erasing a blackboard, and then that residue that seems to always remain, that you can still see what's written there on the blackboard. Maybe you envision getting a cleaning solution and getting rid of all that residue. Whatever kind of vision works for you. We're going to be committed to being rid of the old negative energies, and that includes sweeping away the current paradox because it's really just an illusion that's asking you to step up to who you really are as a creative vibrational being anyway. Now, if we're going to create some new successes, we need to clear out the old. So that's step one. But remember, we can't fix our now reality. We can't fix our physical world reality that's in the now moment. We can't fix this paradox. We've tried and we can't fix it. That's because it's already manifested into this now moment. So we can't fix it, but we can move on and begin to work on a new reality. So here comes step two, and I'll put this on the screen for you. As you imagine yourself with a clean foundation or maybe a clean canvas, a clean blackboard, whatever works for you, the idea here is to identify what you really want to experience. And you can do this one of two ways. One thing I like to do is get out my journal and just say, what I really want is, what I really want is, what I really want is, and I just keep filling in the blank, right? And another way to approach this, I've got it here on the screen for you. When my life is ideal, and then fill in the blank. When my life is ideal, I'm enjoying an amazingly successful and profitable business. When my life is ideal, I have more love and happiness than I've ever known. When my life is ideal, I have unending prosperity. When my life is ideal, I'm experiencing a happy, healthy, and abundant life. We're going general here, yet we're also kind of being specific. Because if I were to ask you to list out 10 things that you'd like to experience, or even 20 things within this one area of your life that's concerning you right now, whether it's business or career or finances, if we were to start mapping out 10 or 20 things, we could distill it down to one amazing statement. And that's what we're looking for. When my life is ideal, I am, and then we fill in the blank. When my life is ideal, I'm enjoying an amazingly successful and profitable business. When my life is ideal, I have unending prosperity, whatever it might be. Now, what I like to do is to take this new blueprint or this new design, start brainstorming until it's filled out completely. You see on the screen here, I've got some blank circles here ready to fill in. And then just imagine it as a giant mat on the floor. Like, have you ever played Twister? You know how that game has that Twister mat? That's how I like to envision my new blueprint, like a mat or like a new foundation that I can build on. All right. So, step one was to knock down the current walls of frustration and other negativity. And step two was to identify what you really want to experience. And then we're going to distill it down into this one general and yet specific mantra. When my life is ideal, and then fill in the blank. Okay, here comes step three, and that is to create a new framework and structure that's independent of any illusion, independent of anything we currently see in our physical, independent of our paradox. Because remember what I said earlier, if you get nothing else today, I want you to understand how to stop the pendulum from swinging around so that you can reconcile your situation. We're just going to swipe left on our paradox, move it over to one side, and we're going to build a new framework. In other words, we're going to build some new walls. Imagine that we're building a new house on this new foundation, and it'll have 20 rooms. And each one of these rooms will reflect those 20 things that we would like to experience. 20 or 23, your choice. So we've torn down the walls of indecision, vacillation, confusion, and we've swept away the negative energies that are found in the dust and debris. And now we're building new walls on our foundation. We're creating a new framework and structure independent of the illusion, independent of the paradox that we have been in. All right, here comes step four, and that is to fertilize the new framework with the energies like resilience, certainty, grace, appreciation, happiness, and all the positive energies that we can muster. We want to fertilize our framework, fertilize our new house and the walls and the new room, and however it is that you're envisioning it. Because remember, it's nearly impossible to create success when negative energies and thoughts are present. So we want to sweep that aside and begin to fertilize with the newer, more positive, more higher frequency thoughts. We're ignoring the paradox we've been in because it's an illusion anyway. And we're focusing only on these new things we'd like to experience. And we're fertilizing these ideas with positive energies. Now, we might do this a couple times a day, several times a day, or we might have dedicated meditation time to work on this new framework because our consciousness today determines the form our tomorrow takes. So, step four was to fertilize our new framework. We're no longer going to be at the mercy of that pendulum. We're no longer going to be at the mercy of the paradox. We're going to focus 100% on this new framework. and nothing else. Okay. And so for step five is to step back and allow this new vision to unfold to our highest benefit and with the most journey. Or sorry, with the most joy. We're going to step back and allow our new vision to unfold to our highest benefit and with the most joy. We're going to step back and simply remain curious to see how it unfolds. In other words, we've planted 20 new flowering plants in our garden. We've fertilized them, and now we're going to allow them to blossom. Okay. Now, I'll add in an extra bonus step here, and maybe we'll call that step six. Anytime this paradox floats back into our mind, anytime the negative thoughts want to come back and visit us, because that will happen for a little while, we're going to use practice and discipline to redirect our focus. We'll use practice and discipline to redirect our focus back to this vision, back to our garden and what we want to experience. We want to focus only on these new ideas that we'd like to experience. We're no longer going to give any attention to the paradox at all. Because remember, we can't fix our now reality. We cannot fix our physical world reality that's in the now moment. We've tried and we can't fix it. It's already manifested into this now moment. So we can't fix it, but we can move forward toward a new reality. We simply tell our monkey mind when it wants to bang around inside the pinball machine, or when the pendulum wants to swing back into that paradox. We simply affirm to ourselves that no, these are the new experiences that I'm creating for myself. This is the new structure and framework, which is now my vision, not the old paradox, which only serves to derail me anyway, not the old paradox, which can't be fixed anyway. When we find ourselves in a conundrum, when we find ourselves in indecision, we can change our thoughts and create a new vision because, as you've heard me say before, negative thoughts are what create our suffering. So we want to change those thoughts and change those thoughts toward a new experience. And that's how we begin to morph into this new blueprint. And with this exercise, we're doing both. We're knocking down our walls of frustration, and with clarity, we're redirecting our thoughts toward a new framework and structure of the vision that we have for ourselves for a better than expected outcome. We're changing our thoughts and we're changing our framework toward a better than expected outcome. And I got to tell you, this is using our hidden power. All right, so we started out talking about the donkey theory and how a paradox can make us stuck. We talked about with free will, we can always choose, yet at the same time, free will alone can't break a deadlock. While one philosopher said that sometimes we just have to wait for circumstances to change, well, that seems pretty disempowering to me. Using the formula that I've given you today, you have a tool to help you identify the right objective for yourself so that you don't get stuck in a paradox. And the beauty of this plan and why it works so well is that we're not going to allow ourselves to think about the paradox. We're going to use positive energies and positive thoughts to create a new reality and the new experiences that we'd like to create. As we empower ourselves toward self-expression and who we are at our core and our new vision without any negative thoughts and emotions to drain us, we're choosing a higher frequency, higher and better thoughts, because our choice of frequency, our choice of more positive emotions changes the course of our journey. So, reflecting back on everything that we covered today, how can you apply what we learned? And do you feel like you'll now be able to find the wisdom to know what path to take whenever you're faced with a dilemma or a conundrum or a paradox? We're going to go right into your hidden power. All right. Well, I hope this helps you as you're using the powers of alchemy to transform challenges and obstacles into positive new successes. This podcast is all about helping you have success on your spiritual growth journey. It's all about getting unstuck by unlocking your hidden power. If you still can't get your head around what's got you stuck in life or in business, you can tell me about it. You can send me a question to questions at Unlock Your Hidden Power, or you may not know that you can grab a free copy of my latest book at unlockyourhiddenpower.com. You'll discover the 22 undeniable laws of alchemy and how to take a wrecking ball to doubts, worries, frustration, and indecision so that your challenges evaporate before your eyes. You can get your instant download at unlockyourhiddenpower.com. Well, thanks for joining me today, and I'm wishing you a life filled with all the alchemy you need to bring success to you. Feel free to share this video with anyone you know who's feeling stuck, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.